Well, thank you, Monica, for this more than kind words. Actually, that is always the time what makes me somewhat sweating, actually, but I think I can fulfill all the expectations you have now really have let pop up within a second. Well, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, looking around, I know at least some faces here, actually. Let me also convey a warm welcome from my side and, well, good morning to all of you, to those who have been active already in the field, to those who will step in today. I think it's the best point of the day probably to just make you familiar, and all of us familiar, with the main three aims of this event today. The first thing actually is that we would like see pushing into action the 30 agreed regional tasks that have already been adopted by adopting the HELCOM Regional Action Plan in June last year, you all probably remember. The second point is that while the battle against litter is already ongoing, the tasks that can be successfully pursued only through active and wide involvement. And that is actually the reason for inviting a large variety of stakeholders here. Well, let's cross our fingers and we express our hope that we can bind you all in, that you will all later in the day go home and say, well, this is my particular past, that is my issue which I take on my shoulders for the future. The third point definitely then is that all regions are expected to step in. And when I say all regions, it's not only a question of regional spreading, but it's also a question of, well, horizontal regions, so to say, of policy levels, whatever. We are talking about the involvement of the G7 leaders, which we just had in the last year, 2015. We are talking about activities on the United Nations level, a lot of them already also in the past. We are talking about the European Union and HELCOM, and of course its sister entities such as OSPAR and the Barcelona Convention, also having a regional action plan. I think Barcelona was the first even in 2013, if I remember correctly. And they are, of course, indispensable for the success to reduce marine litter in our European and, let's say, our global seas. And it's very important to understand and focus attention on the severity of the problem and to build ownership amongst all of us for implementing the agreed actions, which definitely needs some input from you, from our side. All this for a cleaner and safer Baltic Sea. I would also like to give a particular welcome to contracting parties, or to representatives from contracting parties being in here, since the understanding of a stakeholder conference, of course, is that stakeholders are the main actors, so to say, that we from the contracting party side, to see them step into the process, take their part, take their responsibility. Nevertheless, what I said is that we need to link processes together. We have administration on all possible levels in contracting parties, and we have stakeholders input from outside. So we need both parts, and a warm welcome to national representatives here as well. I think there is a lot of stuff to be done. There is enough for all of us. Just to remind you, I said about the HELCOM Regional Action Plan, figures sometimes have a particular power. 12 of the actions laid down in the action plan are already in the implementing process. They have found responsible actors. 14 did not yet. And what I personally hope is that when we are leaving tonight, or not tonight, late afternoon actually, we will say that 26 have found their parents. Let's see what we can do. Now I would like to give the word and the floor to Johanna for making us familiar with some let's say, social media information as regards to Twitter. Johanna, please.
Yes, very briefly. As a few of you, I'm sure, are already in Twitter, so we have opened the hashtag LitConf, which is already shared through the HELCOM account. So I'm encouraging everyone here, and also the home audiences, since this is streamed live, to send your questions and comments. So we will take them up every once in a while during the day. So please use this opportunity and contribute. Thank you.
We thank you, Johanna. There are, I think, 3 practical things. You could also say housekeeping, logistics, whatever. One thing is, and that is a kind of heading that is really accepted as a heading for the whole event today, the timetable is tight. You will experience that in a second probably. I don't think I need to go into details. What I've been asked by the organizers is to remind you of the quiz that has been presented and has been distributed by distributing the program. So those who have taken part in or are still able to take part in, well, they may have some whatever good experience in the end, or I don't know how to describe that now, not to become too concrete. If you would like to see it in detail, Johanna, you may say that, but what I want to say is please participate. It's probably a good decision to do so. What is also unavoidable in such a context, of course, is the family photo. You all probably know that, and I've been advised to tell you that this will be taken before lunch. I don't know for what reason, maybe for better shapes, whatever. So please, before leaving for lunch, we will be reminded we should assemble wherever the Secretariat colleagues will guide us for the family photo. That was the intro, so to say, and I think it's, I wouldn't say high time, but at least good time to step into the program, to step into the substance actually, because that's actually what we are paid for working. And the first part is actually to give all of you, all of us, an idea, what are we talking about? What are the main issues, the main points? Urmas has just showed us what were the main points of interest. And there have been 4 selected. Microparticles was one, waste delivery in ports and marinas, waste management on land, and last but not least, waste related to fishing and aquaculture. And I'm happy to say and to introduce 4 experts in that field actually, who will give you some detailed, some in-depth, so to say, information as regards the 4 issues which I just listed. The first one due to the fact that he is dealing with info point 1, which was microparticles, is Mr. Peter Kershaw. And the main things which just give you an idea who is talking to you and who is part of our conference here. There are 35 years of research experience in marine environmental science available when having Peter here. And he is a member of GESAM, that is the joint group of experts on scientific aspects of marine environmental protection. That is also a keyword which everybody knows who's, well, sooner or later, in the past, in the future, whatever, be involved in marine issues. GESAM is really something particular as well. We have then info point number 2, and that is waste delivery in ports and marinas. And here I'm happy to welcome Hermann Niebacker, which I personally know also for so many years now. I mean, he has been professional secretary in the HELCOM Secretariat and being responsible for groups related to environmental effects of marine traffic, which is the HELCOM Maritime, and the HELCOM Response, being responsible for for the response to environmental effects to spills. Last but not least, the latest invention, so to say, also being responsible for HELCOM Fish. As regards info point number 3, that was waste management on land, it's also a good old friend, that's Mikael Durkin from nowadays CCB, as I learned when going through my notes here, former times also HELCOM Secretariat. I should say, Mikael, that you are the executive secretary of the CCB Secretariat. This is not a no-name project, this is the executive, of course. And also, when looking at you, there are also 20 years of environmental experience available, so 35 plus 20, 55 years of experience, my dear. The next one is Peter Ek from the Ministry for Estonia in Finland, and he is working for the Waste Department since 2001, and therefore I think, well, also a lot of experience available. Last but not least, with regard to info point number 4, that is waste related to fishing and aquaculture, we've got with us Mr. Mark Bernhard Merks, who is co-founder of the Waste Free Oceans Foundation. A lot of you will probably have heard about. I think we already met as well in Bonn years ago. Welcome. And nowadays the owner of Green Waves Plastics, a consultant company assisting companies in the plastics and rubber industry. Well, having said that, you should have at least a rough overview on what are the issues, who are the relevant, most relevant 4 persons, I would say, for the next hour, actually. The idea is that you split up into 4 groups, actually. You will have a number, find a number on your name tag from 1 to 4. We've got 4 corners in this room here, a rather simple exercise, actually. So the Secretariat will guide us where number 1, 2, 3 is. I don't have an idea. Please split up. And the the authors, the experts I just named, introduced to you, will be present and will give you some detailed information on the particular issue. And I learned after 12 minutes, then Johanna, you will just be guided to the next corner, so to say, that within, if everything works well, 48 minutes, you will have a complete picture of the 4 points announced here. Let's cross our fingers that the experts are quick enough in talking and that you are quick enough in understanding, and we reassemble around about 1 hour from now in this seating here. Thanks a lot so far.